I'm having a few friends over for lunch today, and I want to make a caprese salad for them. So to do that, I've got homegrown tomatoes, mozzarella cheese, and I'm going out to the garden to get some basil so that I can put it on the caprese. My basil is done pretty well right now in the garden. It's I have two kinds of basil growing. I've got the purple colored one and this green one. And so for the caprese salad, it takes the green, works pretty well. I'll cut some off. I want to get some pretty fresh leaves here. Cut it, put it in this bowl. I have a bowl here. I tried to pick the biggest leaves so that it'll cover the caprese with the tomato and get a good flavor of the basil. I have 2 tomatoes here, and I'm just gonna slice them up. And then this recipe is pretty simple. You just slice tomatoes, you cut some mozzarella, you add the basil, and then you drizzle with olive oil and balsamic vinegar. I love these homegrown tomatoes. They're so red and juicy, and I don't really think you can get that same color from a bought tomato in the grocery stores. These are my 2 tomatoes, sliced pretty thickly. You can tell they're maybe half an inch thick, which I like them to be meatier for this dish. Here's my mozzarella that I buy pre-sliced. And if you look, it's about the same thickness as the tomato slicing. So kind of makes for a nice presentation that way. I placed all of the mozzarella, sliced mozzarella, on the tomato slices. Now I'm ready to add my basil that I cut from the garden. So there we go. Pretty big pieces, and you can see why I picked the larger leaves. It almost entirely covers the mozzarella, which makes it a little bit prettier, I think. Finish that up. And these are a little bit smaller, but they're going to be fine. And I wish you could smell the smell of the basil. It just smells so lovely. I'm going to add a little salt, not a lot. Doesn't take a lot, but maybe just a little sprinkle of salt. Hopefully that'll bring the juices from the tomato out into the mozzarella. And I'm going to try to use some pepper now, cracked pepper. Okay, I added a little bit of pepper, not a lot, to this recipe. The last thing I want to use is the topping. Some recipes call for extra virgin olive oil. Some call for balsamic vinegar. I'm going to kind of use both. I'm going to use just a splash of the balsamic vinegar. And I'm also using quite a bit of olive oil, but it's just to taste. I really like the flavor of olive oil, extra virgin olive oil, but I need to get a little bit of taste of this balsamic vinegar. So I've kind of poured it together. I'm going to put it in this that I can actually turn, mix, and pour. So I just did that. So this has actually more olive oil than it does vinaigrette. I'm just going to drizzle a little bit on. Okay, so we're going to drizzle it just a tad to give it a little more flavor. Although between the mozzarella, the fresh mozzarella, the fresh basil, and the fresh fine ripened tomatoes from my garden, it's going to have a lot of flavor already. gonna serve it with these tongs to my friends. I'm going to next serve my friends for this luncheon some cantaloupe, some fresh fruit. So I believe this cantaloupe is ripe and ready for picking. I did have this one in mind, but as you can see, the turtles got to it before I could. It was ready, and then I woke up this morning and it was in this kind of condition. There's some other ones that are ready, not quite ready. There's one the turtle hasn't gotten, as well as this bigger one, and then I have some that are just, I put the vines up here along the walk so that to try to keep the turtle. I don't think he can get up here. But these are getting, they're a little green, so they're not quite ready, but the one down there is ready, I think, to be picked. And here is that cut up cantaloupe. I put it in just a nice container so that it'll be fresh fruit for my friends to luncheon. I'm gonna serve this luncheon with this cheesy squash casserole that I made another video of, and I'm just gonna slice it up into squares and put it on this plate to present it nicely. I did another video of this squash, but it came from my garden using this yellow crookneck squash. So if you want to see the video on how I made this cheesy squash, I'll leave it in the information below. And here's my cheesy squash casserole, all plated up for this luncheon. The only other thing that I made was I grilled some chicken, which I'm letting rest right now because it's almost time for my friends to arrive. But there's the spread, and it's of garden grown items. I think they're gonna love it.